Kajing kerni wa kajing jilai udrak sapadang ki khana kan thai bat shinrang kalapan ki ya kajing mut jing perkhat jong ginong yalam niam ba pher bat ha no phai singi jong santare uno pra arja arplai kinong yalam balang ha ka Shillong All Faith Forum kilapan long kajing yalang yamer jimut Hasan Care maulai mauro na kani kajing yalang kinong yalam na ki balang ba pher ha kanong ba kila Syiem ya kajing ket khli bakin ra ikani kaman hamman la ki balang bat ki jat nyam ba pher bat ban ya trai lang na kabanta kajing bha ka em lang ka sa lang bat ban pen sngol tho kham bha persha yaw drugs Lasakhiru ikjingwan ya Syiem banta lang de kinong yalam niam ba pher na ka seng sendran Shillong Muslim Union Central Puja Committee Buddhist Association ka Sikh bat ki niam Kristan ba pher ha ka ba bishop pi lingdo ulalong kumukong san
UN common position on drug policy has emphasized drug use and dependency should not be treated as a criminal matter. Therefore, when I ask the question, what do you think of addiction, what do you think of addicts, many people think that addicts are criminals. Many people think that addicts are sinners, that addicts are bad people. So if you declare war on the two people that you saw just now, is it right? It can only be addressed through rights-based measures including public health education, provision of mental health hygiene treatment, care and support, rehabilitation and transition reintegration programs. That's where an organization like yours come in. I was struck by the similarity between the time when SAFF was formed. It was a period of what we call the pandemic. That pandemic was sudden, that pandemic was severe, that pandemic was visible. Well, we are talking about a pandemic that is already existing with man from the beginning of time. Because addiction has been with us from the beginning, it will continue to be with us to the end. As long as mankind survives on the face of this earth, addiction will be there. It is for us to realize that that is how it is. And our responses to addiction depends on our attitudes. If our attitude is that the person is a sinner, I will avoid him. If our attitude is that the addict is a criminal, I will put him behind bars. But if I remember, if I understand that the addict is a friend of mine, the addict is my son, the addict is my brother, if we don't have love, we cannot help them. And what greater love is there than the love of God? Our job is to help them find that way. Your job as members of the community is to help them come to that stage. A few facts we must remember. Our attitudes come from two things. One is your parental influence. What your parents say, talk, feel about addiction. And their response is mediated through their own personal experience. You might have a brother, you might have a family member who is an addict, who creates problems. Therefore, you feel a sense of irritation, you feel a sense of shame, you feel a sense of guilt, you feel a sense of anger whenever you confront a person who's an addict. If you laugh at the person, are you helping that person? No, you're not helping that person. You're condemning that person. You pass judgment on that person by laughing at him. I say him because there are many more addicts who are men than women, but it could also apply to a woman also. The second influence on our attitude is religious. what does your religion say? What does the religion in which you've been brought up say about addiction? Is it a healthy attitude? The Jews, for instance, drink at every function that they have. The incidence of addiction among Jews is less than what you find in other religious communities. And the third thing that governs your attitude is your personal experience. If when you grow up having an alcoholic father who beats you, who abuses his mother, who creates problems at home, obviously your attitude towards addiction will be different from that who's brought up in a family where he doesn't have that kind of experience. We must remember here that addicts do get well, because some people say that addicts never get well. Once you're an addict, you are an addict, you remain an addict. That's true. You remain because the disease will remain with you, but people do get well. You've seen two examples in front of you just now. A person who's been well for over 10 years, and a drug addict who's been well for almost 5 years now. It is possible for them to get well. Now, India is one of the fastest growing alcohol markets globally. I sense a dichotomy here. Governments talk about prohibition. Governments talk about limiting the number of addicts. People talk about all sorts of things. But actually the fact is that the government is encouraging the alcohol industry. The tune of $52.5 billion in 2020. This is international economic relations. Coming back to our own state, our Meghalaya earned 6 crores from alcohol in 2020. During the tough pandemic phase, revenue from the excise department fluctuated between 250 crore and 300 crores. This is a statement made by the Minister of Excise in January 5, 2022. Why I'm bringing this up here is because we must understand it is our duty as citizens to talk to our representatives to please discuss this in your assembly. But health-related issues never find any place in the discussions of our honorable representatives. So it is up to us to stress the fact that you may be talking about addiction and control of addiction, but you are encouraging the sale of alcohol.
Habayakran marupada Richard Manbha Majau ubalong Vicar General ke Shillong Archdiocese ubabat ru kumu General Secretary ke Shillong All Faith Forum ulaong bakat kum ke statistik bun ki bakirni hau drugs bat yakani layu iru tang haki khna shenrang wat ki khna kan thai ru ki ngop bat Donkam ki bri ki balat tebet ban kran bat ki khna haki school ni bat ki seng
Hadian bangi lai I yakajing kenrei jong kenika yakani kajing kenrei jong kenika drugs hakenika jaka kajungi kum kidong ilam balang ngisutu ngem dan yakata ka expertise halo jong kenika halo jong kenik benta handai kujupon I yakajing kenrei padeng jong ki khna school nang ta ki khna pule nang ta haki imlang salang tang ya ki shenrang handai ngi I wadi kenteru di kumta kini kala ketik ya kejumut kejeng berkat kejungi bat ngim tip kumnu benle ngilai kan bun sina ka saf halo jeng kene handai ngim tip kumnu benle ngila berkat lesi begin lei be direct cheki khana school handai hadian bangilaya wan ban ya kren man consult ye I Dr. Syiem hang ne posan care me I ilai jumut bat ilong namar ngidai ki faith leaders kani ka saf kadi ki ngidon ki faith leaders ang ne ban ngisung bodong kat kum kijing ai jumuji kelong ba habo mangi kum ki faith leaders ngikran yela ki jong ki prabangai hala ki jong ki constituents hala ki jong ke balang kadon ye kata ki impact tingi ngisngo kumba kani ka saf kalawan kala kajuan juga saf kajing sedang juga saf kade halo jong kani kajing pang covid bat kat ka saf kadon ye ibenta ibarit ba Henry ngisung banong ngilak ban lai ai nak bentak ki imlang salang. Ngitip kini ki substance abuse ki kata ingi kumbala batai Dr. Syiem ne ndi dan drug addiction. Andi kidan ki addiction ro ki bangidan hak ji im kejengi. Kini kita ki jing le ki bangi kudu hak ji im jengi. Ngisung banong kum ki fail leaders. Ni kwa ban ra gani ku khobor. Halaki jong ki constituents halaki jong ki jaka rengkat bagi jirap lam jong ki beri kumi Dr. Sandi hakunu gurkong bangidong bakani kedeka cile ke bakrau ngim dei ben penrem ya ki beri ki bahap hakini ki jing kenduk ke jeki hanrai hakunu gurkong ban senran ya ki hieng ki sem ban senran ya kini ki balama ya kini ki jinge ban senran ru ya ki imlang salang hai rukom ibrit baha namar kani kedeka kam ke balong nongkum no kolong ke ba baha hamta ba mingkena sipang ke drug addiction kadang sibun ki eke bat ngisuk ngimla ban kata kita ki bentan namar ngimdan ya ka bor benle kumta Henry ye bangila benle ban ra kini shela ke syaki imlang salang shela ke jongki para bangai bano hakdo kurkam ngidon kam ken banjap ya gede ho ke de jele ngidon kam ka bor ke jong blai Henry hai nuri rukam bangila ban no senyang itai di jang no nakaliang jungi kum kasaf ban aye gani kubor syaki imlang salang hangni po so Shillong ha Meghalaya bat hakleng kiba yasno ya gani kubor ke jumi nakaliang jungi ni sno ni ngidon kam ya ka jirap jangki expert lesi ban kan ye ki kena samla ani haki school ke jungi mangidon ru igi school ngidon ru ya ki nong kum ye ki jing seng ki per ngidon ye ki seng yo per ngidon ye ki jing kudu lang yo per ki convention berki kini ki youth gathering berkum ta ter ke bangidon masuk banong lesi ngidon kami ki expert haka bakin wan kan ban pen skolam haki beri ke jungi bangidon kam ken menyesno ti rengkat lang hakaban nyerap ban job ya gini kecingnya berkumang kilai keren makin nang ni ki expert ki keren ni kyong nak bentak sengkir ni ke ke bamaki ki angnu ke di berbor ya ki brio ki di bolong ki omnu ki patient ki di ba ke di ka center of work nak bentak juki lani ke di ki ba kongsantam tenak ta kada musu benang nak bentak jungiru ka ba kam kongsan ke di ya ki brio ki belang hakum kini hakudu kurkam ngin sendrani ki ndai bengin pendrami ki andai kumno bengin sendan lamiki kumno ngin aimen sem lamiki kenang baki laban jaw kum ngil imne baki du ki biro ki job nak daw jog sendan jong kani ke institute kaji sendan jogi doktor ki nang ta ki ki nang sumarang ni kadi kaji sendan jogi jong ki ye gesam ke baki la job masuk bedang lada ki imlang salang ada ki balang jungi ki snok tin kat masuk bedang ngin salah ban job nantang salah ban ai kejing yang ko mai ya kitu belah aku kini kejing hakini kejing ye kebasyan jemput bahangi kedai kini ke kejing bon jeng ki beri ke belah hakini ka drug addiction kini kala kata ingi ngiso nginang try mengi itang kendian ho ngi ya ku kubor na ku por andai dengi pek pemata ya ki statistik by Dr. Sandi present mene ngi pun ba ki beri ke belah bangi Meghalaya ki bon ba ki bangop hakini kejing bakla kena kata kini kala ketik jemput yengi bar kumjuru ngin saya persangi banong ru ya ke sarkar nang taru ya ki brand mata hak no kromban le ak tu kom hak bangin ya trelengkat ban wara ya ke jinjab na ka banta kenika ya ka banta ke jile ke balak ta ya ki imlang salang jungi ka kamram jungi kum ki nong yalam balang te kan dehi ban bu ya ka jingduai kedi ke ba ngingit skam ke jingduai kedi ke bor ke baklai ke jingduai kedi ke we nang ta banra halaki jong ki balang ke jongi halaki jong ki niam ki jongi banra nanta banra igeni kubar unang ngiran kam menyetrelang hakabala ban wara ke nya ke jinjob ya ke ni ke jile ke bawan haki kun ki jongi haki amlang salang jongi
te ka wei ni ke jing thmu jong ni ha ke ni ke sing ka long bangin don ke ni ka program awareness program kerpang badrengkat bati Dr. Sandi Syiem belong iway na ki doktor hang ni kalan ha Shillong bat ni long ru hang ni asan care ke jaka ke dai ke biang na ka bata ni jing thu kum kan te ka saf lung bai secretary jungi i ba la treshitom dekat i Dr. Sandi ila la aban long ni ka awareness program ha ka ki dekat ki member good number clear one ki penhoni prepare but katno kala long ke jing kasni ke ba ajing shai kasni ke ba ajing mentai ya ni baro ki bawan pengin soto kham jana issue ya ai gani ka problem ki issue ga bengo problem of addiction. But kumno nang ni smat kum ki nong yalam hal ki jong jinget ila ban ya smat ban le ladi long ibadet kan no rai iban long jing kerkhu ya ki imlang sa lang ya ki khon ki jing shen rang kan thai ki ba kiba lahau haki addiction kiba kum kine te aingo ya ublei but kerpang ya ka sun care institute ba nilala pan pendep ya ki jingtmu chungi hagani kasngi
Habakran bakilat pathai kubor u Dr. Syiem ulaong. Badon kam bandan kawai ka rehabilitation center hamman la kawai ka constituency. Bad kam day show banlong katma persya ya ki nongkerni drugs namar kerni katma kala pulam bad Donkam ya ka jingsumar.
Ngadap tho Dr. Kuboru ngala ong bon senru kamla banlong katma. Nadu arjar khatsan ki nong penyai jong ka UN, jong ka WHO, gila adab ong, ba katma gila fil. Kam desu katma, ngidon kam bersutu, baga kajingdih, kade jingpang. Kajing sisya, kade kamram kubo ngamatan, jong ka health department, kam de jong ka social welfare, kam de jong pulut, baga penyele ay gani, kade mangi, ki doktor, mangin sumar. Mo ngamane, kawai konstitusi, kawai rehab center. Ki MLA jungi gini bersusu ya kata. Kawai pokoi konstitusi Donkam rehab center. Mendai kawai district. Donkam kata. Donkam bukan simki ke simkia ke health department. Ya kene ke jingpang. Kene ke pandemic kemudian keleng sodong. Mendai keno mendai bayenyo yanu mendai kalong program dari sistem kamnum trikam. Kadon ketu kena syamuk mata kebayai ketu tegayai proses nem tu di ke bapa jong ke sarkar kebale ki penong awareness programs haki school haki communities prokol leng ka state pun ketu herap